Hey y'all, I just want to share this real quick. It's kind of piggybacking off of the Sagittarius reading, which on the tail end I started hitting on. There was a card that came out that was the Despicable Face, which talks about feeling like you're not being accepted, whether whether it's because of your physical characteristics, the color of your skin, whether it's your sexual orientation, the way your essence, the way you exude your energy, needing to be perfect or whatever, right? Being the black sheep, the oddball out, the geek, the weirdo, the whatever. There is a lot about the ego going away. And the ego is attached to identities and labels, right? So I just kind of want to share this because I just pulled some random cards and I was like, well, whatever. So we have Earth's Heart, we have Disillusion or Solutio, and then you have Glass, which is Speculum. What is this? Cavarium Terra. All right. I like to try to say the Latin words just because, but there's an energy here that is about the self we knew has disappeared. I guess this is a message on evolving to the point to where you are no longer what you have identified with. And what's so beautiful is this is a major indicator of true evolution, evolving, elevating, going up, in the ranks spiritually, because you are disconnecting and dissolving connections to physical labels, like, you know what I mean, like physical identities or whatever. I'll use this as an example because some of my homegirls have said this. I have friends who became mothers, right? And they took that label as a mother and they have basically confessed and said, I feel like I'm not myself anymore. I feel like everything that I do is tied to, again, you will always be a mother once you have children, right? And I had this thought in my head of like, how people make fun of like women who stay at home, housewives or whatever, and they're like, oh, they're going to their Pilates class and oh, they're da-da-da and all this stuff, right? But these are women who are still deciding to take care and love on themselves just as much as they are taking care and loving on their children, right? Because when you are taking care of everybody else, that is when you start to lose yourself. When you think that everybody else's opinion is over yours, that's when you start to lose yourself. That's when you start to not being true to who you are and making the decisions that you feel is right and authentic to you. Okay, being afraid, people pleasing. Okay, I have this title, so I have to do this. Or someone who's running a company and the board is like, hey, you need to do this, and you're like, but I want to do this, but then like you end up folding. You're like, well, I'll just go with the board because yada yada yada, blah blah blah, whatever, right? There is energy here happening where I'm separating myself because I am no longer in resignation. I don't know. That don't make sense. I no longer resonate with the energy of this, whatever that is, whether it's a business, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a friend group, whatever the hell it is, okay, whether it's a company, whether it's a town, a place, okay, living in Wyoming don't suit me anymore. Living in Ohio doesn't suit me anymore. Living in New York doesn't suit me anymore. Living here, right? And this is like the only thing that is promised in life is change. So when you're changing and you're disconnecting from these identities and the whole I even had that moment a little bit, but like how women, they tack on to, oh, my daddy wasn't shit, da 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 da, then it runs their whole narrative of their love life, right? It runs their whole narrative of how they value men. It generalizes men in their life or whatever, right? And closes them off. Oh, they ain't shit, they won't be shit, you just like da 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 da. Or even mothers telling their kids, you gonna be just like your dad, you just like your mama, you da da da. No, you are who you are. This is about the ego being formed. The ego is when we acting all out of character because we feel like we have to defend ourselves, you know what I mean? So the story, what's happening in somebody's life, could be Sagittarius, but I just got very sparked to say this. What's happening is like, again, even with glass here, it's almost like, now somebody can feel like somebody can see through them, but they can also feel like, why am I throwing stones at a glass house or from a glass house or something like that, right? And understanding how the ego is like glass, like it can be easily broken and shattered, right? But what's happening here is somebody is stepping out of the ego and they're coming forward. Look, 555. They're coming forward into showing the world who they really and truly are. But they felt like they had to create this ego to be accepted. Okay, to be accepted. I have to look this way. I have to be perfect. I have to hang out with these are the cool people. I need to hang out with them. I need to da 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 da. Somebody's getting ready to be transparent about the identities and titles that they once were connected to but are no longer connected to. Okay, and labels. Solutio is the great alchemical operation of water. It represents the form becoming formless, that which is solid dissolving into liquid. In many alchemical texts, it is the first operation and summarizes the heart of alchemy, as in the Axiom. Solve et coagula, dissolve to unite. For our purpose, it is important to know solutio involves a dissolving of definitions, identities, and labels. The strongholds of the ego drawn in the emotional realm of the water. So a water sign, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. We dive back to the beginning. The prima in Latin is always the beginning, right? I used to watch this show, and what was the name of that show? I think it was called The 100, some geeky ass show that I used to watch. And they used to always talk about prom fire. Prom is, and in that storyline, it was the fire that ended life as they knew it, that began a new way. So it was prom fire. It was a big fire or whatever. But anyway, so prima materia, this operation is humbling and disorienting and oftentimes feels as though the self we knew has disappeared. Who are we now? How will others describe us? When these questions are afoot, the alchemical magic of solutio is underway. By surrendering to the waves, we unite with the primordial essence and return to our deepest self. So this is just like returning. They're returning to self, okay? And it's crazy because the Drowned King had came out. If this card appears with the Drowned King, take note. Both indicate the ego is ready to be surrendered to something greater than itself. Hang on for the ride. I love that. I also feel like there's going to be a big like release of emotions that come up to the surface. And whoever this is, they're not used to having like a lot of emotions. There's gonna be a lot to face, right? I want to read glass. I love doing this. Transparency, focus, and seeing. Glass transmits a sacred exchange between the alchemist and their work. Through the glass vessel, the alchemist sees their work and the work sees the alchemist. Somebody could get into like glass blowing, working with glass. I remember I had went to Atlanta in the near the Underground Mall or whatever, and I went to a glass blowing class. Like the guy showed us, well, it ended up being a class because I don't know, I just started talking to the guy and he was like, hey, come back here and all this stuff. And so I basically ended up blowing glass and stuff. Just, it was like a glass class, but unintentionally, because I'm just kind of like that. I'm a little more extroverted than I give myself. I like to like talk. I'll approach people, like conversation is easy for me. But anyway, what was once clouded in confusion becomes focused. What was once veiled becomes obvious. How are you currently seeing the world? What is your perspective? The glass card can be thought of as the gift of true perception. With it, you naturally focus on what is most central in your life. All else falls into the peripheral. The next right action becomes clear. So someone steps out of their ego and then they see what the clear action is, okay? Glass is fragile by nature and requires regular cleaning. So find daily practices that align your vision to what is true. It's easy to slip into an old mode of seeing particularly someone else's. So hold steady to your new, yes, alchemical lens. Their power is mighty. I talked about this. Somebody could be getting new glasses or something too, just on a very mundane level, or getting like a tea set or something like that. I could read this stuff on many different levels, because we have water here and we have glass. Like somebody could be getting a tea set, new dishes or something, if they're moving homes or whatever, new glassware sets or something like that. Ooh, I love that. To ponder, the sand becomes glass, or the sand becoming glass. That's just on another level. Glass is a separator. So again, we have that twice coming up. It puts a clear barrier between the observer and the observed. Ponder on this distance making and whether it is serving or hindering. Some speak of rose-colored glasses that shift our perspective. Take inventory of what lens you are looking through. Is the glass muddy, colored, cracked, or crystal clear? You know, this is something that I live by, okay? If someone comes to me, because I don't believe in mess and I don't believe in drama and I don't believe in fighting over men. Men gonna be where they want to be. People are gonna be where they want to be. There is no sense of trying to, like, what's the call said? Casey Musgroves. What is it? You can have your space cowboy, because I ain't gonna fence you in, okay? Go on right, or whatever, with your Silverado, something. There's no sense of fencing the horse in or whatever. Like, you can have your space cowboy, like, that don't make sense. Like, okay, what I'm saying is, like, people are gonna be whatever they want to be or go where they want to go. Like, people have this idea in their head that they can control and manipulate or whatever, when there's really, people are gonna do whatever the fuck they want to do. It's just what it is. So there's no point of fighting for this and, I'm a fight for, I don't believe in fighting for love. If somebody want to be there, they're going to be there, and if somebody wants to leave, they're going to leave, and I don't care, because they're grown. You know, it is what it is. And that's the whole point of loving, of unconditionally loving, being able to love people by them being their true selves. Okay, and again, it kind of ties in, because what's happening here is there's an ego. It literally, somebody could have fell in love with somebody's ego, and they're like, yo, I'm not that anymore, and all of a sudden they're like, what? You know, they're like, I'm evolving now, so we're not on the same page. Literally, like, eat, pray, love. But anyway, what was I trying to say? Okay, this is what I was trying to say. So I don't believe in, like, someone coming up to me saying, hey, you shouldn't like this person because this, that, and the third. I don't have a problem with that person until that person shows me something that is a lot along the lines of what you saying. Then okay, because I just feel like what I'm gonna hate somebody for, when, like, I don't even know that person to hate them. Well, hating is horrible, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's very, like, emotionally immature, and it's just very, like, cliquish. Oh, my friend don't like you, so I don't like you. Like, to me, that's childish. Your friend is grown, and she can handle her own shit on her own, or whatever situations that she put herself in, I don't feel, because to me, then that's taking on somebody else's emotions and feelings towards somebody that you don't even know and that you've never had an experience with. So therefore, you're no longer operating out of your own true, clear perspective. You're operating from somebody else's perspective. And now you could have missed out on an opportunity, or you could have lost a best friend that you didn't even know was a best friend because you already blocked them out. You see what I'm saying? How we put these blinders up or whatever. Now, if somebody shows me that they're disloyal, if somebody shows me that they're a snake, if somebody shows me that their morals and their values is fucked up, don't nobody have to tell me anything about anybody else. And then sometimes you can say, hey, this person isn't the most upstanding person, but for me, I've always been like this, like kind of bullheaded. I take it on the chin. My lessons is my lessons, and I don't want to shortcut anything, because when you're taking shortcuts, you're not really being molded. You're not being blown with the glass. You're not being molded and shaped. You're not making mistakes. You're not going through challenges. You're not you're not on the potter's clay, or how you're not the potter's clay. You're not being you're not learning anything. So I just wanted to say that, okay, about transparency, focus, and being able to seeing your true perspective versus what everybody else wants you to see or whatever, right? And a lot of people who are insecure do stuff like that. You don't need to like that person. You don't need, because they're insecure of that person. So I always give people the benefit of the doubt, and then normally after I'm around somebody, I can pretty much clock that energy, and I'm like, something's a little off there, or the frequency ain't right, because I'm all about energy. Like, the energy isn't right. We know. I don't have to take anybody's word, because I trust my own intuition, and I trust myself to make my own decisions in terms of who I want in my life and who I don't want in my life. That's a part of being an adult. That's a part of just like evolving spiritually, So being able to discern and live your life. Everybody can't make decisions for you, so I don't want somebody telling me like some weird middle school girl group who I need to be friends with and who I don't need to be friends with. I don't need you to do all that. You know. And that's another thing about having friends who are independent, secure in who they are, and not codependent. Because there are a lot of codependent, jealous, really weird, clingy friends. There are friends who want to be you, who want to talk like you, look like you, dress like you, all of that stuff. And to me, that's just total bullshit. If somebody wants you to be that to them, I want you to look like me. Basically, they're telling you, I don't want you to be able to think for yourself. I want you to be a minion. And for me, that is just totally disrespectful, So I just feel like this glass energy is like somebody is crystal clear for them, and they're operating out of their own perspective. They're seeing life, people, opportunities, events, whatever. They're seeing it in their own lens, not because this was somebody else said, and this, this is what society wants you to think. This is how society needs you to live, and this is how society, The Earth's heart talks about depth, pulse, and buried treasure. It says, amidst our phenomenal scientific pursuits, we have yet to journey to the core of the earth. We can only suppose what is there. Such is the mystery of the Coverum Tarot card. It is related to the archetypical image of the cave. That reminds me of, is it Dante? Is it Dante? And the fourth chakra located at the heart. This card appears when there is something blossoming deep within that requires our attention, our attending to. It could be new love, a new way of serving others, or an offering to the planet and its resources. I also feel like creative, artistic stuff is an offering to the planet. In alchemical texts, let me go back because I kind of want to hit on this. Y'all, like, art and creativity is so sacred. It's like, if we don't have like art gods, okay, I believe that God is very, he is though, even biblically, God loves sound and he loves frequency, okay, and he loves color and vivid, but to be able to create something and put it out into the world, I feel like from a spiritual aspect, it is very important to make sure that the intention of what you're creating through any artistic means, that it is in alignment with a higher vibration, because there's a cause and effect. There's a cause and effect after creativity, right? Just like when two people have sex unprotected and there's the aftermath as a child. Creativity comes from the same energy. It comes from the creative energy of God. It is masculine energy and feminine energy fused together to create something. This energy is very sacred, okay? It's really sacred. And I don't think that people like realize how sacred it is. But once you realize that like somebody can read a book that you wrote and it saved their life, or somebody went into researching your art or whatever and they got inspired by that. For me, my whole intention is hope, because we live in a very dark world. So everything that I try to put out there, it's for hope, right? Even if I'm dealing with like negative people, my hope for you is to evolve, right? That's my hope. But a lot of people are negative because they don't have any hope. They're not fulfilled. They're depressed. Their light has been knocked out, whatever, right? So sometimes I call myself the hope dealer, because hope and giving people, like, embedding faith, embedding that there's a higher power, embedding positivity and light and love in your creation, it gives life. When you embed lower vibrational things into your music or your art or your paintings or whatever it is, guess what? It can take a life. It can take a life. It can save a life. Like, art and creativity is so sacred and so powerful. I don't really think that people can comprehend sometimes, like, how that is, you know? Like, I don't, but I'm super y'all know I'm super into it. So I kind of wanted to just talk about that, because this is saying that, okay, I'm discovering a new way of serving others, or it's like I have to put work into this. I have to like make this come into form. Like, I have to, it's earth energy, right? I have to put the time, the energy, and the effort, right? And it's something that is, I'll continue reading it, but it's something that's like I was saying, sacred and important or whatever. So, okay, so it's an offering to the planet. What do you, and I want to say that, what are you offering to the planet? Like, when you talk to people, how you exist, your essence, like, what are you offering to the planet? And your creativity and your creation, what are you offering to the planet? And this is why I'm very big on being unique and authentic, because if all that you can offer is something regurgitated and it is shit that we have seen before, you need to go back to the drawing board. You know what I mean? I just feel like, and there's going to be a point, and let me tell you something. When I speak, stuff comes to fruition. I told people, and I can't tell everybody everything, you know, but I told people that there was going to be a time in my life, because, and I understand universal energy, because I had went through a hermit mode, and I worked from home, and I was doing my readings from home, and I had my clients, and I was very cozy and all these things, still very cozy, and I have a balance in life now. I told people, there's going to be a time that I'm not going to be here doing this day in and day out, and because I've been so stationary for so long, there's going to be a time where I'm going to be hyper mobile. And I see this in my life, and I talk about things that I know that is true for me, that mirrors the universe. So I know that it's like universally true. I know that it's universally like law, like there's something there. This place that we live in is not some random place, okay? There's a law, and there's a even though it seems like random things can happen, yes, but there's like a guide, there's like a manual, there's a universal energetic manual, okay? And as you And as you grow on this journey, you begin to understand the manual and the power of understanding and knowing the manual. And one day, maybe I'll write the manual that I've experienced. Because for me, I really go off of what's true for me. I don't hang off other people's words. I'm not interested in dressing like somebody, sounding like somebody. I read books, but I have totally stepped away from the healing self-help community, because you're taking somebody else's blueprint or whatever, and you're living your life with them. Now, me and my mom had a conversation about this, and she said, Gia, you may not be one of the people who self-help resonates with. She said, you may be someone who can teach, a community or whatever, but she said there are some people out there who need a guide in life. And after they get that self-help guide from whichever one it is, but some of them I just feel like it's a crock of shit, and it's a cash grab right now, right? Any Joe Schmo can say some shit online and people are like, oh, you're awesome, da da da. But she was like, they can take that guide, and then once they have like healed themselves or got themselves out of the rut, then they can kind of like start figuring it out on their own. And that's and I was like, well, that's cool, and I've said that kind of like with my channel. I don't expect people to be like watching my channel. Some of y'all have, though, for years and years and years, and it's just out of love and support. But the messages, or like, I don't want anyone ever dependent on my messages or dependent on my readings or dependent on my energy, period. And I have learned that, I don't know what it is, but I tend to get the opposite of that. People who are clingy. And I remember I used to be on here working super, super hard. I'll take a day off and somebody's like, hey, okay. It was almost like I felt kind of like a little bit of a vampiric energy, but they didn't mean any, negativity by it or whatever. And then I felt like, oh, I had to get on here, da, 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 da. But anyway, let me go back because I'm rambling. So it says, in alchemical text, Covarium Terra roughly translates to Earth is the true heart. The journey of discovery will take you through many layers, slowly revealing her gifts. This is proof of Earth's longing to provide and to teach. You've already felt the pulse of the Earth's heart. Now it is the time to listen and to be a student of her wisdom. Read Dana Faulds, Faulds. Read Dana's poem, Go In and In. Okay. This card can be read as a direct call to reconnect with Earth itself, to sit or walk in nature, perhaps visiting your favorite spot. If you can't get there, sit and visualize. So now I'm seeing, on a mundane level, a very transparent conversation between a water sign and an earth sign. Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. Or there's a discussion between a earth sign and a water sign, and there's like wine glasses there. Like there's glasses, or they're I said working. They're walking through like the dish aisle or something. There's something about sets, like, anyway. Science tells us that the Earth's core is made of iron. If this card appears along with iron, you can be sure the magnetic center is pulling you to go in, go in, go in. So yeah, this energy is just about grounding. So grounding also with the Earth card, and then dissolution is water energy. So somebody has to ground to get their emotions, kind of soothed or clear. And with the glass here, you get to see clearly. All right. And it's very interesting, because water is also transparent. It reminds me of like Mulan, when she looked at herself, her reflection. Who's the girl I see staring back at me? Nah, nah, nah. Yeah, so that's what I have, y'all. Someone is either getting ready, they're seeing themselves clearly, so they're seeing the world clearly or something like that. And then how they show up in the Earth's energy. It's like they're becoming new and grounding this energy and then creating from this energy. Okay? So, that was a lot. That was a lot, but I feel like I had to explain that and get it out, that it was important. Again, the despicable face, because like, even the despicable face in Peacock's tail, it's just like somebody has been so one way, used to something, and it's just changing. Okay, it's just changing. All right, and I just saw the Saturn card, so there could be a karmic lesson here. All right, but yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Sending you love and light, peace.